Hello, and welcome to a fanfare episode of the Drywall Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Harmon. With us today, Elyse Chiu from Shadiac, New Brunswick, Canada. Elyse is fairly new to the trade and spent some time working renovation with her wife at their company, Spec Renovation. That's when she found herself maybe interested in drywall finishing and enough interested to get a job as an apprentice.
The pandemic hit, and we were sitting at home, and I was watching more videos, and an opportunity came up to be an apprentice at a drywall company, a local drywall company.
Nice.
And so I applied, didn't hear anything from them for like a month and a half, and was like, oh, well, guess that's not happening. And then I heard from them and was like, got an interview, went in, chatted with them, and got the job. So, and I've been with them full time since. So,
I had a fantastic time chatting with Elyse, and I know you are going to enjoy this episode. The Drywall Podcast was brought to you in the month of July by GWI, supplying the UK with drywall finishing products since 2021, delivering quality brands nationwide. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, or online at www.gwiltd.com for all of your finishing needs. GWI will be hosting yours truly for a special Fresco Harmony training happening September 15th on a beautiful Friday in Swindon, England at their headquarters. You can email me info@Fresco Harmony for more questions about that. Guests of the Drywall Podcast, like Elyse, will receive a sweet swag bucket from our friends at CSR in Toronto, full of all kinds of cool swag specifically for drywall, including Fresco Harmony color packs, a tech dry tool, a 3-way, a spy sponge, shirts, swag, all kinds of cool stuff. Be on the lookout for that if you happened to be one of our awesome guests on the podcast. I'm excited for you to hear this podcast with Elyse on the 60th episode of the Drywall Podcast. Let's get into it. Hey, what's up, Elyse? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You a big Denver Broncos fan, yeah?
By marriage. So my wife is a huge Denver Broncos fan, like all her life. Was on the season tickets waiting list for years and years and years. Yeah. And then I think it was last year she finally made it to the top of the list, and so now we have seasons tickets. So we go down to Denver once a year at least. So starting last year.
You have season tickets and you go to one game a year?
Well, we would like to go to more games, but at the moment it's not always feasible. So this year we try and go to the home opener for sure, and then we see which games will work. Last year we went to 2 games. The first 2 like home games were back to back.
All right. So what do you do with your tickets? You sell them?
She sells them, yeah. Yeah, I think you can resell them on Ticketmaster or whatever, and then you can sometimes give them away to charity and stuff, so she does that.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
And what does your wife do?
Right now she's working on a tech startup called the Project Garage.
So nice. She's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Excellent. It's called the Tech what?
No, it's called the Project Garage.
Project Garage. What is it?
It's to connect DIYers with vetted tradespeople to get virtual help with their projects.
Interesting. Very cool. How long has she been working on that?
About a year and a half now.
Okay.
So they're getting ready to launch their site in soon, August. So
right
now there's a developer working on it and stuff, and she's
crazy. What's her
busy
background?
networking and connecting with people. Her background is policing.
Policing. She's a police woman.
She was a police officer, and then she and I both went into like renos and stuff.
Okay.
So we did that for a bit, and then now she's doing entrepreneurship and tech startup. She's done a whole whack of things. So yeah.
I just learned on the last podcast we had Jeff Schultz out of Powell River, British Columbia. Super cool dude. That they don't call it remodel up there; they call it renovation. Is that true?
Yeah. So yeah.
Right.
We would like we have a company and we would do renos and remodels. So
that was that the name of the company?
No, our company is called Spec 3 Properties.
Spec 3 Properties. And you are out of
I am out of Shediac, New Brunswick.
How do you spell that?
Shediac.
Shediac, New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Neat.
Home of the giant lobster.
Oh, so you have some yummy lobsters up there. I want to come.
Yeah.
Are you above Maine?
Yes, we border Maine. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cold, chilly.
In the winter, yes. Right now, hot, humid.
Right. Yeah, it's probably nice up there right now.
It's been like 35, 39 degrees with the humidex. So it's been super moist. Yeah.
It's been chilly?
No, hot, degrees Celsius. Sorry.
Degrees Celsius. Okay.
I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit. Yeah.
Not Fahrenheit. Yeah.
No.
We were going through that a little bit when I was up there. Speed too, kilometers versus miles.
Yeah.
Subtle differences to our friends to the north, and hopefully, the Drywall Podcast is illuminating the fact that we do have neighbors to the north. It's called Canada. And they're pretty great.
You've had a lot of Canadians on your podcast there.
Yeah, I mean, I just I'm an artist by nature. I have a very fluid method in which I do things, and the podcast is no different. I don't have a list of questions. I am writing things down and I have ideas, but I want for the conversation to be very fresh. Elyse, so you've been in the trade for a little while now. You seem young. How old are you, if you don't mind?
I actually got carded yesterday and today.
Yeah.
Which made me really happy. I'll be 42 this year.
Okay, you look like you're 18. So
thank you. I'll take it.
42
graves pop up, so it's
42 years young, man. I'm 47. Wow. You look way better than me. So
it's the gene.
Yeah, it's the gene. So 40, and what ethnicity are you?
I'm Canadian. No,
you're Canadian.
I am Canadian.
I mean, Chiu. That's
So I was born in Toronto. My parents were born in China.
Okay, so Chinese, whatever descendant,
Chinese,
or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I'm German, Irish. We're all a mishmash over here.
Oh yeah.
So 42. How long have you been in the trade?
So I've been doing drywall finishing for about 2.5, 3 years full time.
You're relatively new in the vast scheme of things.
Yeah.
But you were doing a bunch of stuff prior to drywall finishing, correct?
So before I started this full time, I was doing renovation and remodels with my wife.
Okay.
Initially I was a paramedic.
Okay.
So I was a paramedic for about 14 years, and then while I was a paramedic, we would renovate houses and rent them out.
Okay.
So we did that while we were in Ontario. So we kind of got into doing renovations and stuff, and then we quit our jobs and moved to New Brunswick.
Okay. From where?
And from Ontario, from Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How far is it to New Brunswick from Ontario, or from Toronto? Sorry.
So Toronto to where we are is about 16 hours.
Oh, that's a ways.
Yeah, 16-hour drive. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And how long have you and your wife been together?
Oh, we've been together for about 12, 13 years.
Okay. And how long married?
9 years in September.
But you're happily married, and what's the age difference between you and your partner?
She's 8 years older than I am.
Ooh, older woman. Love it. Okay, and she's the Broncos fan. And you guys ran this Spec 3 company for a little while, but the drywall aspect of the construction industry started to speak to Elyse, and she heeded the call.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Why drywall? Why did you gravitate towards the drywall?
So when we started doing renovations and stuff in Ontario, we decided to move like a doorway and do some like renovations in a bathroom and stuff, and we needed to skim out a wall and stuff, and we had a basement project that we were doing as well, and we hired someone to do the drywall for us. And we were like, okay, we're going to tackle the stuff upstairs and he can do it downstairs. Anyways, we were having a heck of a time with it, and we asked him, his name was Luke, we asked him to come up and do.
You were having a heck of a time with the finishing part.
Yes, the finishing part. Yeah, because I had no idea what I was doing.
Sure.
And asked him to come.
Wait. I thought anyone could finish drywall.
Yeah, I thought so too.
You're like, what? It's just mud. Smear that shit on there like cake frosting and go about your day. How hard could it be?
When I first met my wife, I couldn't even like put up a clothes pegboard or anything. Like I had no idea how to do anything. Yeah.
So she was handier than you.
Oh yeah, way handier.
Okay. All right. So you gleaned some of her expertise in some of these various fields, because I'm sure when you do remodeling, renovation type work, you're learning lots of different skills, not just one skill. So you like become a jack of all trades.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's also fantastic. You got to hang a light fixture. You got to hang a fan. You got to paint a room. You got to fix a loose doorknob. It's like, you're not helpless. I mean, I have friends that are helpless. Like they can't do shit. They don't know how to drill. It's like, I'm going to hire somebody to do this like simple thing. And it's like, well, okay, I'll just do that for you. It's not, it's not that hard.
5 minutes.
Yeah, it'll take you 5 minutes. So, so go back to the story. He's finishing the downstairs. You guys are tackling the upstairs.
So, we were having trouble. We asked him to come and just show us some things. We stood there and watched in awe as he just kind of did his thing. And like, we're like, wow, he's a master at his craft. Like he was an artist. And I was like, I didn't even know drywall finishing was a thing until I met him.
Yeah.
So fast forward, like,
who was it? Let's give this guy a shout out.
I don't know his last name. I think his name was Luke, and he was in Ontario. Luke. Yeah, he was an old French man. Like,
yeah. Had a little pan and knife.
Yeah. He had a trowel, like, and I was like, wow. It was just like, oh.
Neat.
So that was probably like in 2016. Okay. And then we ended up quitting our jobs, moving here, starting to do renovations and remodels full time. I took on a basement project for someone, didn't know what I was doing, kind of watched YouTube videos and Instagram and fell in love more and more with like the trade. And then
now wait, did you like catch like Kayla or Drywall Shorty or any of these girls that were out there crushing it on social? Like were you watching?
For sure, Drywall Shorty was one of the first, and like PRC taping and stuff. And then I was just kind of fell into the rabbit hole of like finding all these people and like watching as many videos as I could to try and figure out how to do things. And and just like teaching myself what needed to be done and how to do it.
Okay. That's very cool. Comparatively to people that I've had on the show, I'm not sure if you listen to a couple podcasts, but like comparatively, you're later in life. A lot of them are second generation. They learn from the old man, or they took over the old man's company, much like Drywall Shorty, or they started young out of high school because they didn't know what else to do or whatever. But 40's older to be starting into the drywall trade.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So then the pandemic hit, and we were sitting at home, and I was watching more videos, and an opportunity came up to be an apprentice at a drywall company, a local drywall company. Nice. And so I applied, didn't hear anything from them for like a month and a half, and was like, oh, well, guess that's not happening. And then I heard from them and was like, got an interview, went in, chatted with them, and got the job. So, and I've been with them full time since. So, yeah. Okay.
And what's the name of that company?
Fundy Pros Specialty Construction.
Oh my gosh. Fundy, Fundy?
Yep. Fundy, yep. And then Pros, PROS.
Specialty.
Yeah.
Do they call them FPSD?
No, Fundy Pros. They call them Fundy Pros.
Fundy Pros. That's a unique name.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I was an apprentice as well, so I dig that type of story. I liked the drywall. I liked the mud. I thought it was cool. Much like you, I was attracted to it. I saw these dudes doing it, and I was like, that looks cool. I want to learn that. That was my initial reaction to seeing somebody doing spinning outlet covers and doing like mudding. I was fascinated by it at a young age. I was probably 21. And I remember the journeyman guys were like, don't go live your life. don't come into this trade. I'm like, I don't care. Dude, this trade is fine. Like, it doesn't bother me, but these dudes, like, you run into these salty dudes that like just hate it. They absolutely hate drywall.
You're going to find that in every job, right? Like there's the guys who are going to absolutely hate whatever they're doing and won't quit and do something else. Yeah. And then you'll find people who are absolutely love what they're doing and are very passionate and,
it's like, don't do it, man. If you haven't listened to a bunch of the podcasts, the Myron Ferguson one is really good. Like we touch on that. I don't know if you know who Myron Ferguson is. That drywall guy. He wrote the book on drywall, sold over 500,000 copies. Like,
I wish I had known that.
That's okay. I can. Did you do a little research? Did you listen to a couple of podcasts?
So you sent me, I think, a link of like Christy Slade, like a preview of it. So I went back and I watched or listened to that one.
Okay.
And I had listened to a few back a while ago when I was working.
Okay. Okay.
So,
okay, you were kind of familiar with the Drywall podcast then.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'm always told I come off as like being kind of aloof and like standoffish, but no, I was probably just being silly or something. I don't know.
You're probably busy, working.
I think you tried to call me at one point, and I was at work in the middle of like doing something. Yeah. So I was like,
I'll call you later, dude. Sometimes I'll reach out that way. I like talking to drywallers. I talk to drywallers a lot about fresco harmony. That's one reason why this podcast started was I would get into these long-winded conversation with other drywall dudes and dudettes. And I never got to talk about drywall very much because of what I do now. And then I'm selling this thing, and it was cool to talk with tradesmen and women about drywall, So, and there wasn't a drywall podcast, so I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But going back, the Myron Ferguson one is very good. The one with Bernie with Columbia Tools, Aaron and Elliot's dad is fantastic. Like it's really good. And there's, there's some others. There's some others that, it's hard to, I don't want to like have favorites or say one is better than the other one, but there's some ones that have a special place in my heart. We went up and I got to meet Bernie, and he's just the coolest dude. And
that's pretty cool.
This guy like started tooling like Columbia tools, like in the back of a drywall supply warehouse. Like, it's a really cool story.
Oh, wow. Or like to the BC then?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just recently we did a training at Columbia headquarters and toured like the Columbia facility, hung out with Aaron and Elliot, super cool dudes. Brawley's dad, Sean Ramsden, came up. Cam, it's your man Cam, he came up. And we had a training there at the facility, and then we went up. His dad lives in Salt Spring, BC, which is a little island up in outside of Victoria, BC. And we did some Fresco Harmony, and I did a live interview with his dad with
cool.
Bernie, the old the founder of Columbia Tools. So it was very interesting.
I'll take a look for those.
That one's good. That one's pretty good. But so Elyse gets into, you choose the drywall trade, and kudos to you. You jump into like an apprenticeship program. Did they start you out at like 50%? Well, how did that work?
So yeah, basically they how it worked was I started off at like, I don't know what the way, like I was making $15 an hour or whatever.
Okay.
And they paired me up with a guy who had been working in the trade for like 40 plus years.
Okay. How'd that go?
It was awesome.
Cool.
I tried to think of it as me being a sponge and just like taking everything in, watching him do his thing.
Yeah.
So he'd show me how to do something, and then I'd do it, and he'd leave me to do it, and he'd come and check on me and stuff. I was working side by side with him, but
that's cool.
Yeah. So I'd ask him questions and, try and take everything in. Okay. And I try and watch the other guys around me and see what they were doing and how they did things too. And I tried to soak it all in and learn from as much as I could while I was with him. So I was with him for about 6 months.
Okay.
And then they were like, okay, they had me just doing my own thing, like working on my own.
Okay.
Still with other guys around me and stuff. So I could go and ask questions if I had problems or something.
Okay. Did you get along okay with the guys, or were they jerks?
Oh no, everyone who I work with has been amazing.
Okay. Because like they were hardcore. The dudes that I came up with, mean. Like it was 20 years ago, but they were mean. Like I got in with some rowdy dudes.
I wonder if it like just because you were a young buck,
Yeah. Oh yeah, they called me a cub.
Yeah, cub. Yeah. So
with all the apprentices were called cubs.
What were they called? Cougars?
Oh, dicks. I called them dicks and assholes. Cougars. So was there any other girls that you worked around?
No, so I was like the only
Okay.
I was only the only female drywall. Well, I think I was the only female. I know there's other females who work for the company, but not as like tapers or boardsmen or anything, or framers or anything. Yeah.
So the company is broader than just drywall.
Yeah, so they do drywall, they do framing, insulation. I think they have a flooring department, but I don't know much about the flooring side. Like it's mostly drywall.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay.
So
mostly drywall, some other things. Where do the other where do the other girls work predominantly? Is there one department, or
there's there's women who are in the office, like there's estimators and stuff. But now there's another female apprentice taper.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. And she's actually, I think she's with the mentor that I was with.
Okay. So. Did Christy wrangle her?
Did no.
Christy's she's a
I
wrangler.
wish Christy was in New Brunswick.
Yeah, she's a girl wrangler for the drywall trade. She
That's
goes
awesome.
out,
Yeah.
wrangles all the young girls and says hey
Yeah.
man, come in, be a drywall finisher. It's pretty cool.
We need more women in the trades.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's cool. So there's another girl coming up. How come, did you be like, hey, I want to mentor this girl? Let me have a shot. Or maybe your mentor is a better mentor.
Well, when she came on, I wasn't quite at that stage where I felt comfortable mentoring. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so, are you full, would you eventually reach journeyman status?
So I think I am technically now journey person status.
Okay.
So in New Brunswick, I don't know in the States how it works, but in Canada, there's a few provinces where you can become Red Seal. You can have the Red Seal designation for different trades.
Okay.
In New Brunswick, drywall finishing is not a Red Seal trade. I've
asked that before, but what does the Red Seal mean?
What does it mean? I think it's a designation that you're an expert in your craft.
You're an expert in your craft. And I like it. You said journey person. Are we changing journeyman to journey person?
I've always used journey person.
Journey person.
I just like to be all-encompassing.
What about journey woman? Why couldn't you be journey woman?
Yeah, well, I could be a journey woman too. Yeah. I could be a journey man.
And then I was talking with Jeff, and I was like, oh, well, he said he had 30 years or something in the trade, and I was like, oh, well, you're almost a journeyman. And he said, I'm on the journey, man. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I do feel like you're always learning, though. I mean, 30 years, 3 years, you're you can always learn something new, right? So if you're open, you are.
His interview just dropped today. Great interview, great guy. It's a good one for sure. Cool. If you get a chance, listen. He's a super cool dude. He's on his own. He's been doing a little bit of fresco. We talk about fresco harmony. He had some addiction stuff that he was very open about. So we talk about a drug addiction, things like that. Very good conversation though, like ours. Cool. This one's pretty good so far.
Yeah, I was a little nervous because I was like, oh, what's he gonna ask? And then I'm like, oh, whatever, I can handle it. Just chat. Yeah.
I mean, my angle is the drywall trade is interesting to me. Boy, I interviewed Joe Koenig very early on. That's a fantastic interview as well with Trimtex. He's really funny, and we've known each other for a little while. And Joe's a great guy, and that's a good one. It's early on, and I'm just testing the water, but not so much CEOs and office people as much as people that are in the trenches of the drywall industry. I want to hear your story. It's interesting to me why you picked this trade and sort of how Elyse came to be in this industry. And you've got a pretty good following now on social media. So you came up on my radar, and I'm always looking for girls to interview because there's few of you, and we're trying to bolster women in the trades always, because it's cool, and why not, Yeah. So you're working as an apprentice. You're almost to journeyman status now. Do they run the tools in your company?
Well, run the tools, are you talking about automatic tools and stuff?
Automatic tool. Yeah, automatic tools.
After I was worked with my mentor, another apprentice and I went up to Fredericton for 3 weeks. And we worked with another couple of guys who taught us how to use the bazooka, the flat boxes, and all that stuff.
Where'd you go?
Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Okay, how do you spell that?
Frederickton.
Fredericton. Yeah. Fredericton and Shediac. Yeah. No, Shediac.
Yeah.
It's like a real shitty ack. Shitty ack. Yeah. And also Jeff's nickname is Shitty. Like, so his company name is SSB Drywall because because he's shitty. His wife is Sweet Cheeks, and his daughter was B, who is now Ray.
Okay.
SSB Drywall. Shitty, Sweet Cheeks, B.
Huh. And if you watch Sex and the City, it's secret single behavior. Your SSB is your secret single behavior.
Oh, I did not know that. Secret. Yeah. I am limited on my Sex and the City knowledge. I maybe have watched a couple episodes, but I'll have to beef up a little more on that. I probably watched more episodes of Friends.
Yeah, I'm again, through marriage, I've learned these things. I wasn't a big Sex and the City fan, and then.
Okay, all right. I'm getting up to speed now on the Kardashians.
Oh, that's beyond. Like, yeah, I have no idea.
It's a weird little world there.
Yeah.
Not one that I'm particularly interested in, but a lot of girls guilty pleasure Kardashians, and so.
I'll be honest, I don't understand them. I don't get it.
It's pretty funny. You're kind of a Gen Xer. We're in the same realm there a little bit.
Yeah. Like, I think they call, I never connected with like the millennials. I think I was watching some stand-up comedian once, and she called the early millennials the elder millennials. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally an elder millennial.
You're like an elder millennial.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Didn't grow up with like the technology as a kid, like right out of the box, you know? But and still remember, like, you know, VHS and beta and all that stuff. And,
and
you know?
Yeah. You're that old for sure. My wife was a millennial, 14 years younger. So that was kind of gappy. Okay. It was a little gappy, like sort of a different generation.
Yeah.
Drywall journeyman now for this Fundy Pros drywall company. Take me through a day in your world in this company. You're pretty much journeyman now. No, we were talking about the tools. You went up to Fredericton to learn about the tools. What was your experience there? You had, up to that point, you had just run hand tools.
That's right. So I learned on hand tools. The guy I was working with taught me to use a trowel and a knife. No hawk, no pan, trowel and a knife. And
neat. That's unique. Yeah.
And I actually I've tried to use the hawk and trowel on my own, and I'm like, it's like I feel like I'm fumbling. There's too much mud on it's heavy, whatever.
Yeah.
But trowel and a knife, it works for me, and it's you know, speedy. So I went up to Fredericton for 3 weeks, learned how to run the bazooka, flat boxes, nail spotter, all angle heads and stuff, flushers. And it was a great experience.
Real quick, let's go back to the trowel and the knife. What size knife?
Well, depending on what I'm doing, like if I'm putting a second coat on, then it's or skimming my 6-inch knife. Or if I'm, you know, like
6-inch, 6-inch knife. What size trowel?
Either my 12 or my 14.
Okay. All right. 12 or 14. Probably depends on base coat versus second coat or whatever.
Yeah.
First coat versus second coat. Okay. All right. And you wipe tape with a trowel?
With my knife.
You use an 8-inch?
So lately I've been using, like, I have a compound tube now, and so I've been using compound tube and then wiping with my 8-inch and putting the mud in the pan and just but before,
you've been sneaking a pan in there.
Yeah, when I was learning, because you can't hold a lot of mud in there.
I know. I learned with a pan. I learned with pan and knife, and then when I moved to Crested Butte, we started to do where everyone is a Denver fan. I've been to Denver quite a bit, but you know, a Broncos fan. When I moved there, we started to do the texture, like Drywall Shorty does what she calls the swirl texture with a pool trowel. We were kind of doing that, and I got to use the hawk and trowel. Now And it was hard at first, but I'm super proficient at both now. I could lay mud on with a trowel or a pan and knife. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to like get into both so that I can just be more efficient, like whatever works for that situation, right?
My experience is that it's pretty helpful. Like if you're ever spreading material, the hawk and trowel is really efficient. But I could see where putting on, like, if I'm laying out a band or a butt joint, the trowel is hyper efficient versus the pan and knife,
Yeah.
But I always did drywall finishing with a pan and knife. So when you're using a knife and a trowel, though, isn't it hard to load up a butt joint with like lots of mud? How do you have to have the bucket close to you, right?
Yeah, I usually have the bucket close to me. I have it on a little like mini baker, and then I just wheel it around with me wherever I go and have it beside me and just load it up.
Okay.
And then
All right. Do people give you crap for that, or is that the way is that they do? Or is that, do most people at your work do it that way, and that's how your mentor taught you how to do it, right?
So my mentor taught me that, and then like when I would encounter other guys on the job, they'd be like, use a hawk, and I'd be like, well, I'd ask Tom how to use a hawk, and he'd be like, I don't know, he didn't know how to use a hawk because he didn't use one.
Okay.
So then when I went to Fredericton, the guys there who were teaching us how to use the automatic tools, they just kept on taking the piss out of me because I was using the trowel and a knife, and they're like, that's going to take forever. And it was like, well, whatever, I'll figure it out,
Yeah.
But I actually think you get pretty quick. Like once you know how to do something efficiently, like,
Yeah, it's a lot like music. Like, I don't think there's a wrong way to hold a pick. I play the guitar, but if you learn how to hold a pick a certain way, you're supposed to hold it with the side of your finger. I never did. I pinch it, which is wrong, but I can deaden the string a little bit with my index finger. It's just how I learned. I equate like drywall a lot to learning music. You have a small window where when you're learning something, like you learn it a certain way. And it's like, if you don't establish those habits early on, they're just set for life. Like, and drywall is like a lot like that. Like, that's why you get these, the dudes that don't want to try out the automatic tools. Cause they're like, no, like I learned this way. I'm faster than you. This way, and you get into that whole debate, which is kind of interesting.
I feel like there's a lot of guys in New Brunswick who are like very old school. I think it's also a generational thing too, right? Like they've been doing this for 30, 40 years, right? And
you get the old school French influence up there, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you go down to Fredericton, and these dudes are busting out the automatic tools. What's your first thought?
Well, I'd seen them on like Instagram and was really eager to learn how to use them and stuff.
Okay, that's good.
So I knew kind of, but I was like didn't know. Didn't know, but knew. Yeah. So
you watch Phil with PRC running those tools, and you're like, oh man, I could do that easy.
Yeah, and then it's like they make it look so easy. It's just like a walk in the park. I'm like,
Phil makes it look like skateboarding. Like, I've heard that analogy. But So, but what was your experience? So you get with these guys?
Yeah, it was great. So we go up there. They teach us how to use them. They let us, we had a set of tools that we were using, and we finished a couple of units in an apartment building, and they were close by that we could go ask them questions and stuff. So it was they showed us how to use it, but it was a lot of us just trying to figure out like what worked for us too, right? Like
you and who else? Other apprentices?
Another apprentice, yeah.
One other apprentice, okay.
Yeah. So
they threw you to the wolves. Like they got the wolves. Yeah. They got the wolves up there. They're like, oh man, we got to train these apprentices again today. They're coming up. They're going to be asking us questions.
Yeah.
Why do they torture these poor guys?
Yeah. No.
Did they have fun? Did they have fun teaching you?
I
Did
think
you all
so. Yeah.
you all got along and had fun?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They were really, really great guys, really knowledgeable. Like,
Nice.
they had only been running the automatic tools for I think like a year or something. Like they hadn't
Okay.
been using them very long, so they were like, "We don't really know what we're doing either. Here you go." So,
Oh,
like,
all right.
but they were actually really quick, and they did know what they were doing and helped us
Yeah.
out when we were, like ran into issues. But
Okay.
I think most of that learning was like trial and error for us. So we quickly learned like the mud was way too thick for certain things, and it left a mean ridge where when we were sanding, it was like I
Okay.
felt like I was sanding for days, and I was like, "This is
Uh,
stupid. Like, won't make that mistake again."
no.
So yeah,
That's a
um,
good way to learn, though. And it's almost the only way. I think with the automatic tools, you just have to run them. There's
oh,
no
for
other
sure.
way
Yeah,
to truly learn. Very
yeah,
cool. And so you ran the bazooka, you ran all the box tools. They were
yeah,
like, you're not finishing these by hand. Everything's got to be with the tools. This is
yeah. So there, I mean, there
this
were
is your
little
crash
things.
course.
Yeah, so there were little things obviously that we had to finish by hand, but it was like 95% done with the automatic tools.
Okay. And I mean, that's not really enough time to get vetted appropriately on the tools. What happened when you came back down to Shittiac? Shittiac.
Moncton. How about that? Moncton.
Moncton. You got back. I don't know if that's much better. Moncton. I live in Shittiac, but if you don't like saying Shittiac, just say I'm from Moncton.
I do most of my work in Moncton, so
Moncton.
yeah.
I'll have to look him up. But so you were proficient enough that you felt comfortable running the tools moving forward.
Did I feel? I didn't feel. I felt ill-equipped, but I mean, we did it. We had
Okay.
the company gave us a set of like a Columbia set. I think a Columbia tactical set had like the 10-inch box, the 12-inch box, a nail spotter, and the bazooka. So they gave us a set to use,
Okay.
and we used it as much as we could while we were working together. Um, and then so I got more efficient, but I definitely could I definitely could use more time on them
Okay.
and get those skills up to par. But
Did you do Did you do video content at that point? Because I know you're pretty. I haven't looked at how many like followers you have, but you've got some followers, right? The girls tend to like get more followers on social media.
I think I have like 700 odd followers. I'm not huge on like video content.
Okay.
Um, I'm not very good at filming myself
Okay, fair enough.
and I forget to take pictures a
Yeah.
lot of the time because I get kind of into my work and then
Yeah.
oh yeah, I should take a picture of that or
Yeah. There's a million things that I could photograph and video, like even today, that I don't. It's just like
yeah.
too much shit, too much stuff to do. So,
Yeah. I did
okay.
take a couple of like videos and like of me using the bazooka for the first time or stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm currently I had to give that set back to the company so someone else could learn how to use them.
Okay.
So I haven't had the set for a while now, but I'm slowly kind of growing my arsenal of tools, and I ended up for my
There you
birthday
go.
last year. I got Can-Am semi-automatic set, like
Okay.
the flusher and the compound tube and stuff.
Yeah, you were talking about running the compound tube. What exactly are you using the compound tube for?
So for taping all the flats, the butts, and the angles.
Okay.
Finding that really makes everything quicker than just
You don't
doing
use a
it by hand.
banjo?
No, I've never tried a banjo.
They're pretty good.
Yeah. I've never met anyone who has a banjo that I could try. I like to try things before I buy them. So
Sure.
that,
They run the shit out of the banjo down here.
oh yeah.
And then the dudes that I worked with in Crested Butte, they had two dudes running a banjo. They were fast as shit with that thing. I was okay with it because they would give the apprentice a banjo and they'd put you in the like fire taping and like the hard areas.
Yeah.
It's for small jobs, it's pretty efficient. If I had a large job, I would use a banjo over hand taping any day of the week.
Yeah.
It's pretty fast. And it's easy to use. They have that like trainee banjo. I forget who makes it. Or a trainee, like I call it the trainee bazooka. It has like a wheel. You fill it up like a banjo, and it's like smaller than a bazooka. And you see these dudes like running it.
Oh, I've
It's
never
very
seen that.
And I think it's more affordable than a bazooka. And it's just like it's like a crossbreed, in between a bazooka and a banjo. It's very.
Yeah.
I'll share if I come across it. I'll like share it with you on social media.
Yeah. No,
I always see it. I always see it, and every time I see it, I think to myself, "Oh, they've got a training bazooka. That's cute."
Training bazooka. That's awesome.
Oh, look. But then my next thought is like, just buy a damn bazooka.
Yeah. Probably not as costly either.
But you don't. So you are running with a compound tube and you're taping. You don't have a bazooka. Why wouldn't you borrow a bazooka or something from the company? Are these for your own personal jobs?
So no. The company has a set, but someone else is using the set. I think there's a couple sets, but
dude, that company needs to buy a couple of sets. What the hell, man?
Hey, I should talk to them and tell them.
Level 5 will finance.
Yeah.
Columbia will probably finance,
Yeah.
Tell them to tool up.
Tool up. I've started to like acquire a few more tools though. So I'm waiting on a flat box. So I splurged and bought the North Star multi one. Did you see that Christy Slade had a North Star with her name on it and then you wanted one? Yeah. I was like, oh, I can get my name on it. So they're putting my name on it too, actually. So.
You know what's funny is that Columbia Tools has an etcher now, has an etching machine.
Oh, cool.
And they did a bazooka, like the back of the bazooka where you open up the thing to clean it out. They did Brawley's dad on one. And, I don't have a bazooka. So they did a coffee mug. They gave us coffee mugs with like my logo. But smart, super smart. I
think I saw one from Cam. He had his little face on one. Yeah. That was cool. Yeah. I was like, oh,
it's super cool. It's cool. It's like a branded, your own branded tool. It's just cool. I think it's smart of these tool companies to continue to be innovative. I did an interview with Wolfgang. That's a great interview. He's a very smart guy with Can-Am. All these guys are just really impressive businessmen and entrepreneurs, and they all have little niche or tchotchke things, or they sort of follow each other's lead. But that's interesting to me because I think the first interview that I did with Christy a year ago, she showed me that she had her name on her North Star box, and I was like, oh, that is so cool. What a great idea. So you got your name on your own box.
When the box comes, it will have my name on it. Yeah.
It hasn't even come yet.
No, it's currently being made. I saw an update about it, and I saw my name, and I was like, oh, that looks good.
Now, if North Star was smart, they'd be like taking videos of all those names that they're making and posting that up on social media too.
Yeah. So I think they did. I'm not sure if it was them or the Tapers United was who I bought it through. So they posted it and tagged me and stuff, and I saw it. It was cool. But I must say that
you didn't think to write like badass taper or best in the trade or something cool like that?
No, I'm pretty generic that way.
Just your name.
Do I come up with something like snazzy and like, funny, or do I just put my name on it? And I was like, oh, well, if I put my name on it, there's no one else that I know who's named Elyse Chiu that will, So at least I'll know it's mine. Whereas someone could be like, oh yeah, I'm the badass taper, or like whatever, right?
No, you're not. It's my box. I'm the badass taper. That's right. It says so right here.
I have found that all the companies like that I've reached out to if I've had issues have been really good at getting back to me really quickly about any issues I've had with like running their tools or questions or whatever. So it's been like the customer support on that side is amazing. Like, especially when learning all the tools, it's like there's always that learning curve, and I've found they've been so supportive of like if you run into issues or something, like just getting back to you and giving you feedback or on what to do and stuff. So
excellent. That's North Star.
No, like Columbia and Can-Am. I haven't tried any North Star tools yet, but I'm sure that
all right.
They would be equally as helpful.
Okay, yeah, Columbia and Canada, they're over the top. Those guys they're really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the predominant feedback. You always have people that complain, but for the most part, those two companies, in my experience, take their business very seriously. And I think they all do. They're all very competitive, not outwardly. They're all very open, and they're nice to each other. They don't talk trash. But they are competitive, and they all want to make the best tool, which I think is cool. It keeps everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, it keeps the tools operating great. It keeps innovation happening in the trade, and they're all pretty open. At least Wolfgang and Aaron and Elliot's just the nicest people. It's just crazy. Like, I don't know if it's just because they're Canadian or what, but they're very friendly. So, as are most of the Canadians that I've met. So are you going to come down and hang out at the Black Friday event this year?
I wanted to last year, but yeah, hopefully I can make it. Are they going to have it again this year? You think?
Yes. Yeah. Because I want to go. And last year I went on a whim. They had never seen my product, and that was how I kind of got into CSR. Aaron was like, "Hey, are you going to go up there?" I was like, "Why should I go up there?" He's like, "It's a lot of people will be there. It's a very big event, and you should go. You should take your product up." And Brad was cool, and he was like, "Yeah, you can have a booth." And so I went up and I just weaseled my way in, Elyse. I just weaseled.
Hey, you gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah, they couldn't resist. But we've been selling. Go ahead.
I did see some. I went up. I was in Ontario for visiting family and friends, and went to CSR for the first time, like in person, and saw some of your fresco harmony stuff there. Actually, so
did you see the walls that Sean did?
I saw videos of it recently, but yeah, it looks pretty cool.
You just saw the product and some of the stuff.
I saw some of the product on like the shelf in the store.
Okay, all right. And what'd you think of that store? It's unreal, right? Oh,
it's crazy. Yeah. I wish I had time to go up to Barrie too to see their new location.
Yeah.
And I think they had I went up to Ontario in April, May. And they were telling me they were having a grand opening in June for the Barrie location. So I wasn't able to go up, but I would have loved to have gone up for that too.
Yeah, me too. And did you pick yourself up a hawk?
I have a couple of hawks that I've never really used. But
what's the point?
One's in my car that comes with me to every day to work, just in case I need it. You never know.
Never know. Rides in the egg crate.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So
I have two. I have one on each side of the egg crate. I like the 12-inch. I use a composite hawk, which they do sell at CSR, and they're lightweight. They're really cool.
Maybe I should try that. Maybe that'll be the game changer.
They're strong, and the lead doesn't come off on the trowel. They're pretty cool, though. They're just cool looking. But and then and then you have a pan as well that you carry around.
I do have a pan, yeah.
For whatever.
I like to have
excess when you're wiping the tape. You have excess.
You can never have too many tools. This has started me to become becoming a drywall finisher has caused I now have a problem in tools. I like buying tools now.
Yeah,
like,
they're neat. They are neat tools, and it's a cool collection too to have, like, 2 boxes, or the last interview we talk about the mud runner. There's sort of different pump applications now. Those are always interesting to me. I never used the compound tube and things like that. And then you have the bazooka and all these different methods, the slop box. There's people that do the slop box. There's people that are fast at that, though. I mean, I
tried that once and I didn't like it. I was like, oh, this is
pretty messy.
Like, I like to be some of my friends at work make fun of me because I'm pretty clean. Like,
nice.
And they're like, you don't look like you've worked. Like, now I get more muddy, but before I was always pretty clean when I left. And they're like, you have to have mud on you to look like you've worked. And I'm like,
no way. You ever see Phil with a bunch of mud on him?
I know, right?
What's his name? Brad Hanna. He's messy. His work is impeccable, but he is messy as hell. I don't think that one like equates to the other, but I've always been clean. I'm also, I don't stop and clean my tools like 100 times throughout the day, but I'm clean. I like to keep everything tidy, and the sides of my buckets like clean and tidy. Like, I feel like it makes the work better. But
I agree. Yeah,
everybody has their own little methods.
It's true. Yeah.
So one thing I do ask each interviewee that comes on the show is a pearl of wisdom to bestow to the drywall community. If you had one for all your drywall peers, what would it be?
Take care of your kit, and your kit will take care of you.
Got it. Elyse Chiu out of Shediac. Yeah. That's how you got to say it. Shediac. New Brunswick, 3 hours ahead of me. If you ever came down to Albuquerque or even Denver to do a Fresco Harmony training, we would just 6 hours to Denver. We'd be at a Broncos game like nobody's business.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'll let you know.
Or if you come down to Denver,
access to tickets.
If you came down to Denver and were inclined to coming down to Albuquerque and hanging out or doing a training, we would find you a place to stay, and you're always welcome down here.
Awesome. Yeah,
for sure.
That'd be cool.
I think it'd be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Drywall Podcast today. It was pretty fun, right?
Oh, it was awesome. Thanks for the chat. It was great.
I think you and I would be buds if I was up there. We could be buds. For
sure. Oh man. Yeah, we hang out, go for a beer, coffee, or whatever. Yeah.
There you go. All right, man. Well, you have a fantastic weekend, and let's keep in touch. I'm going to follow you on the social media. You sent me some images, so you'll get a lot of shout outs on the Drywall Podcast, and I'll probably drop some little teasers and stuff heading up to the show. This show will drop next Friday, so awesome.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, Elyse, you have a good rest of your day. Talk to you soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Special thanks to Elyse for being with us on the Drywall Podcast today. I appreciate your time and your knowledge. Be on the lookout for a training session with yours truly happening in Swindon, England, Friday, September 15th. I believe you have to register, but if you need information on that, you can email me at info@frescoharmony.com and I will get you information. The Drywall Podcast can be listened to on your favorite platforms such as Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and also YouTube. Tune in every single Friday for a new awesome episode featuring your favorite drywall influencers and drywall people from the internet and beyond. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Drywall Podcast. I really, really, really appreciate it. And remember, keep drywalling.